Bickley and Marotta. Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
The hope is that 2 weeks from today, ASU fans will have long forgotten the Kenny Dillingham clock debacle because they will have won a Big 12 championship and earned a spot in the college football playoff. And 2 weeks from now, hopefully we'll be talking about a Cardinals team that regained its dignity, its running game, and first place in the NFC West in a grudge match against the Seahawks. But for now, we are all marinating in one of the strangest weekends of football in memory. The Sun Devils survived a furious BYU rally to win the biggest game in Tempe in 10 years, an emotional ringer of a game that was impossible for diehards to properly process. One alumni said he would have checked into a mental institution had the Sun Devils lost. Another noted that sober fans are stronger in the second half, and they simply could not mute the BYU faithful in attendance. It was an epic day that flirted with an epic collapse, and the fans I spoke with looked and sounded like you do when you narrowly avoid a really bad automobile accident. Meanwhile, the Cardinals were bullied in Seattle, resembling anything but a dangerous playoff-worthy football team. Good news is the Cardinals still have a path to a division title, and the good news is Dillingham is officially a really big deal in college football, and that awkward endgame situation proved another thing, that he's only going to get better. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I mean, I don't know how long I'll be here, hopefully a long time, but I don't know if I'll ever have a season that exceeds expectation than this year. I don't know, hopefully the expectations become higher, because I don't know if there's a way we can exceed expectations more than we're exceeding them right now, and I think that's special, and it's because of these two guys. They both grew up this year, and they both matured.
Yeah, coaching and playing. You know what I mean? We all got to look in the mirror and figure out better ways and make sure that he's not under duress. And, like I said, we'll have a lot of energy and focus how to get better from this game.
Yeah, both head coaches, subjects of the blast today. From Dan Bickley, Kenny Dillingham on Saturday, talking about exceeding expectations. And that's been the theme of this year. There were no expectations on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Their ranking right now in the AP poll, Bick, is 2 spots higher than where they were picked to finish in their own conference.
That is fantastic.
And then you hear Jonathan Gannon talking about looking in the mirror, getting better. It was a disappointing performance from the Arizona Cardinals. And I don't know where you want to start. We could start with the Cardinals. We were all kind of very curious to see how this team, which had been thriving, their last 2 wins were dominant wins over struggling franchises, admittedly, but they handled that business like a division leader would handle business.
Yes,
so then how do you follow that up going into a bye and then immediately going into a hostile environment to play against a division foe?
That's it.
The answer is they did not handle it well.
No, they did not. And as you said earlier, so we've got the question, did the bye week hurt the Arizona Cardinals? Yes, is the answer.
There's no other way to argue against it.
There is no other way to argue against it. So, and it's a shame because, as I said in my column and earlier today, the Seahawks went into their bye week. They were reeling. They had lost 5 of 6 games. They came out of their bye week and did exactly what you hope you would do with a reeling team, and that is they found themselves. Now the Cardinals have to kind of flush this loss, get back into their process, and hopefully they're going to be good enough to win games in Minnesota. And then you get that rematch against the Seahawks. Now, winning in Minnesota is going to be difficult. Brian Flores and that defense, they're legit. And I just don't know what to expect from this Cardinals team now. I did not expect in a million years that Seattle defense, which ranked 22nd against the run, I believe, to be that stout and that sturdy up front and that damaging. But they were clearly motivated, and they had their way with the Cardinals. It was weird because I know you felt this too. Waking up Sunday morning knowing we had this NFL showdown in front of us, coming into the weekend, if you knew that ASU beat BYU and gave themselves this chance, you would think you'd wake up Sunday in this celebratory way. There was just a weird vibe all across the valley. coming out of that ASU game. And again, it wasn't because no one's really blaming anyone per se. It's just what it made you feel. And it was such a roller coaster ride from the dominant first half to the second half where the BYU quarterback was just lighting up the ASU defense. Then for the defense to make a play at the end of the game and bring it all the way back, and you think this thing is over, only to have the drama extended. Then we got into Sunday. We're all exhausted emotionally, and the Cardinals played like they were exhausted emotionally. It was an epic weekend of football. And it was really, really, really bizarre, Vinny, at a lot of levels.
Yeah, I mean, and it was weird, too, because we always talk about the Valley sports fan condition. And obviously there was so much anticipation going into this weekend on both fronts for the Sun Devils and the Cardinals. And the way things transpired on Saturday, everything fell into place, even with the weirdness at the end of the BYU game. It all fell into place. And I woke up Sunday morning actually thinking, are we going to have one of those rare, all the planets align kind of football weekends on big spots for both teams? And the answer was definitively no.
Well, everything, our dream scenario did not include, being scared witless by the clock minute management at the end of a game. But everything else happened except the Cardinals winning. The Rams lost to the Eagles. The 49ers boat raced by the Packers. Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes lost.
Even the Washington Commanders lost. So
there you go. Yeah.
If you are looking at the wild card.
That's right. That's right. I suppose there might be a second playoff berth available for the second place team in the NFC West. I wouldn't bet on it.
Right now, the Cardinals
I wouldn't bet on
are
it.
in
still don't feel
eighth.
comfortable.
They're eighth in the NFC right now.
Okay.
And we also talked about Kyler Murray and his day in Seattle, not his best. And when you get to, we're in week 13 now. I mean, week 12 wraps up tonight, but the Cardinals will begin week 13 preparations today. You start talking about the MVP. And Kyler Murray was asked last week, hey, are you aware of all the talk that's going on? He's like, I've heard the talk. He's not going to hear that much talk this week.
No.
One odds maker I'm looking at now has Kyler Murray falling all the way to 9th best in his MVP odds. It doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't.
Joe Burrow is ahead of him. Joe Burrow plays for a team that has 4 wins.
See, that's a little bit stupid, but what you said prior to that is right on the money. When Kyler Murray has a game like that, it just all disappears.
Yeah, and like I said, the disappointing part for me from Kyler yesterday was, and I'm not pinning the loss on him by any stretch, that's a game where 1 or 2 plays can make all the difference in the world, and he did not make those plays.
Could not get the plays done. Yeah,
no, and with also. The passing numbers look okay, especially when you consider the pressure that he was under. But the lack of the run game from anybody, including Kyler Murray, he didn't impact the game with his legs in the least.
Yeah.
And that was disappointing.
And the fact that
Geno Smith looked like the more slippery, elusive quarterback in that game.
He looked like the better quarterback.
He did.
And that's the thing. That's when you bottom line what's going to face the Cardinals from this point forward. That's really the determining factor. At the end of it all, that's a determining factor. Is Kyler Murray the best quarterback on the field?
Yep.
And he wasn't yesterday.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.